If you're going through hell, keep going. We make a living by what we get, but we make a life by what we give. You have enemies. Good. That means you've stood up for something, sometime in your life. Attitude is a little thing that makes a big difference. To improve is to change. To be perfect is to change often. A lie gets halfway around the world before the truth has a chance to get its pants on. I am fond of pigs. Dogs look up to us. Cats look down on us. Pigs treat us as equals. All the great things are simple, and many can be expressed in a single word: freedom, justice, honor, duty, mercy, hope. A pessimist sees the difficulty in every opportunity. An optimist sees the opportunity in every difficulty. You can always count on Americans to do the right thing after they've tried everything else. No one can guarantee success in war, but only deserve it. History will be kind to me, for I intend to write it. If Hitler invaded hell, I would make at least a favorable reference to the devil in the House of Commons. Victory at all costs, victory in spite of all terror, victory however long and hard the road may be, for without victory, there is no survival. Socialism is a philosophy of failure, the creed of ignorance, and the gospel of envy. Its inherent virtue is the equal sharing of misery. In wartime, truth is so precious that she should always be attended by a bodyguard of lies. We are masters of the unsaid words, but slaves of those we let slip out. Nothing in life is so exhilarating as to be shot at without result. Kites rise highest against the wind, not with it. I have taken more out of alcohol than alcohol has taken out of me. The inherent vice of capitalism is the unequal sharing of blessings. The inherent virtue of socialism is the equal sharing of miseries. It is no use saying, "We are doing our best." You have got to succeed in doing what is necessary. My most brilliant achievement was my ability to be able to persuade my wife to marry me. History is written by the victors. Solitary trees, if they grow at all, grow strong. I never worry about action, but only inaction. A fanatic is one who can't change his mind and won't change the subject. There is no such thing as public opinion. There is only published opinion. Politics is not a game. It is an earnest business. Now this is not the end. It is not even the beginning of the end. But it is, perhaps, the end of the beginning. Christmas is a season not only of rejoicing, but of reflection. Success consists of going from failure to failure without loss of enthusiasm. The best argument against democracy is a 5-minute conversation with the average voter. Courage is what it takes to stand up and speak. Courage is also what it takes to sit down and listen. I may be drunk, miss, but in the morning I will be sober and you will still be ugly. Never, never, never give up. The farther backward you can look, the farther forward you can see. We shall defend our island, whatever the cost may be. We shall fight on the beaches. We shall fight on the landing grounds. We shall fight in the fields and in the streets. We shall fight in the hills. We shall never surrender. The truth is incontrovertible. Malice may attack it, ignorance may deride it, but in the end, there it is. Russia is a riddle wrapped in a mystery inside an enigma. The price of greatness is responsibility. I am always ready to learn, although I did not always like being taught. If we open a quarrel between past and present, we shall find that we have lost the future. I am an optimist. It does not seem too much use being anything else. This is no time for ease and comfort. It is time to dare and endure. The pessimist sees difficulty in every opportunity. The optimist sees the opportunity in every difficulty. We have always found the Irish a bit odd. They refuse to be English. If you have an important point to make, don't try to be subtle or clever. Use a pile driver. Hit the point once, then come back and hit it again, then hit it a third time, a tremendous whack. Courage is rightly esteemed the first of human qualities, because it is the quality which guarantees all others. I am prepared to meet my Maker. Whether my Maker is prepared for the great ordeal of meeting me is another matter. We shape our buildings, thereafter they shape us. To jaw joy is always better than to war. It is a good thing for an uneducated man to read books of quotations. Play the game for more than you can afford to lose. Only then will you learn the game. To build may have to be the slow and laborious task of years. To destroy can be the thoughtless act of a single day. The empires of the future are the empires of the mind. An appeaser is one who feeds a crocodile, hoping it will eat him last. Never hold discussions with the monkey when the organ grinder is in the room. What kind of people do they think we are? Is it possible they do not realize that we shall never cease to persevere against them until they have been taught a lesson which they and the world will never forget? Without tradition, art is a flock of sheep without a shepherd. Without innovation, it is a corpse. Let our advanced worrying become advanced thinking and planning. Ending a sentence with a preposition is something up with which I will not put. True genius resides in the capacity for evaluation of uncertain, hazardous, and conflicting information. There are two things that are more difficult than making an after-dinner speech: climbing a wall which is leaning toward you and kissing a girl who is leaning away from you. This report, by its very length, defends itself against the risk of being read. We are all worms, but I believe that I am a glowworm. He has all of the virtues I dislike and none of the vices I admire. One ought never to turn one's back on a threatened danger and try to run away from it. If you do that, you will double the danger. But if you meet it promptly and without flinching, you will reduce the danger by half. Never run away from anything. Never. It is always wise to look ahead, but difficult to look further than you can see. It was the nation and the race dwelling all round the globe that had the lion's heart. I had the luck to be called upon to give the roar. Never give in, never, 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 in nothing great or small, large or petty. Never give in except to convictions of honor and good sense. A politician needs the ability to foretell what is going to happen tomorrow, next week, next month, and next year, and to have the ability afterwards to explain why it didn't happen. Those who can win a war well can rarely make a good peace, and those who could make a good peace would never have won the war. War is a game that is played with a smile. If you can't smile, grin. If you can't grin, keep out of the way till you can. If you have 10,000 regulations, you destroy all respect for the law. In the course of my life, I have often had to eat my words, and I must confess that I have always found it a wholesome diet. The first quality that is needed is audacity. No comment is a splendid expression. I am using it again and again. I have nothing to offer but blood, toil, tears, and sweat. Sure I am of this, that you have only to endure to conquer. India is a geographical term. It is no more a united nation than the equator. Perhaps it is better to be irresponsible and right than to be responsible and wrong. It is a fine thing to be honest, but it is also very important to be right. Man will occasionally stumble over the truth, but most of the time he will pick himself up and continue on. No crime is so great as daring to excel. In war, you can only be killed once, but in politics, many times. A prisoner of war is a man who tries to kill you and fails, and then asks you not to kill him. The power of man has grown in every sphere, except over himself. Difficulties mastered are opportunities won. Criticism may not be agreeable, but it is necessary. It fulfills the same function as pain in the human body. It calls attention to an unhealthy state of things. It is a mistake to look too far ahead. Only one link of the chain of destiny can be handled at a time. When you have to kill a man, it costs nothing to be polite. Before Alamein we never had a victory. After Alamein we never had a defeat. Everyone has his day, and some days last longer than others. I am easily satisfied with the very best. Some people regard private enterprise as a predatory tiger to be shot. Others look on it as a cow they can milk. Not enough people see it as a healthy horse, pulling a sturdy wagon. Great and good are seldom the same man. I like a man who grins when he fights. It has been said that democracy is the worst form of government except all the others that have been tried. Personally, I'm always ready to learn, although I did not always like being taught. want of foresight, unwillingness to act when action would be simple and effective, lack of clear thinking, confusion of counsel until the emergency comes, until self-preservation strikes its jarring gong. These are the features which constitute the endless repetition of history. My rule of life prescribed as an absolutely sacred rite smoking cigars, and also the drinking of alcohol before, after, and if need be during all meals, and in the intervals between them. We do not covet anything from any nation except their respect. It is more agreeable to have the power to give than to receive. We contend that for a nation to try to tax itself into prosperity is like a man standing in a bucket and trying to lift himself up by the handle. I'm just preparing my impromptu remarks. When the war of the giants is over, the wars of the pygmies will begin. Politics is the ability to foretell what is going to happen tomorrow, next week, next month, and next year, and to have the ability afterwards to explain why it didn't happen. There are a terrible lot of lies going about the world, and the worst of it is that half of them are true. I have never developed indigestion from eating my words. Short words are best, and the old words when short are best of all. Too often the strong, silent man is silent only because he does not know what to say, and is reputed strong only because he has remained silent. Healthy citizens are the greatest asset any country can have. Men occasionally stumble over the truth, but most of them pick themselves up and hurry off as if nothing had happened. When we look back on all the perils through which we have passed, and at the mighty foes that we have laid low, and all the dark and deadly designs that we have frustrated, why should we fear for our future? We have come safely through the worst. Eating words has never given me indigestion. When I am abroad, I always make it a rule never to criticize or attack the government of my own country. I make up for lost time when I come home. A state of society where men may not speak their minds cannot long endure. I was only the servant of my country, and had I, at any moment, failed to express her unflinching resolve to fight and conquer, I should at once have been rightly cast aside. Study history, study history. In history lies all the secrets of statecraft. My wife and I tried 2 or 3 times in the last 40 years to have breakfast together, but it was so disagreeable we had to stop. Politics are very much like war. We may even have to use poison gas at times. One does not leave a convivial party before closing time. If the human race wishes to have a prolonged and indefinite period of material prosperity, they have only got to behave in a peaceful and helpful way toward one another. I am certainly not one of those who need to be prodded. In fact, if anything, I am the prod. The problems of victory are more agreeable than those of defeat, but they are no less difficult. Never in the field of human conflict was so much owed by so many to so few. I cannot pretend to be impartial about the colors. I rejoice with the brilliant ones, and am genuinely sorry for the poor browns. No idea is so outlandish that it should not be considered with a searching but at the same time a steady eye. Politics is almost as exciting as war, and quite as dangerous. In war you can only be killed once, but in politics many times. The short words are best, and the old words are the best of all. For my part, I consider that it will be found much better by all parties to leave the past to history, especially as I propose to write that history myself. Although prepared for martyrdom, I preferred that it be postponed. The great defense against the air menace is to attack the enemy's aircraft as near as possible to their point of departure. Although personally I am quite content with existing explosives, I feel we must not stand in the path of improvement. I always seem to get inspiration and renewed vitality by contact with this great novel land of yours, which sticks up out of the Atlantic. No part of the education of a politician is more indispensable than the fighting of elections. Where is mainly a catalogue of blunders. Nothing can be more abhorrent to democracy than to imprison a person or keep him in prison because he is unpopular. This is really the test of civilization. We are asking the nations of Europe, between whom rivers of blood have flowed, to forget the feuds of 1,000 years. We shall draw from the heart of suffering itself the means of inspiration and survival. We shall show mercy, but we shall not ask for it. From Stettin in the Baltic to Trieste in the Adriatic, an iron curtain has descended across the continent. Meeting Franklin Roosevelt was like opening your first bottle of champagne. Knowing him was like drinking it. Battles are won by slaughter and maneuver. The greater the general, the more he contributes in maneuver, the less he demands in slaughter. In war as in life, it is often necessary, when some cherished scheme has failed, to take up the best alternative open, and if so, it is folly not to work for it with all your might. We are stripped bare by the curse of plenty. I always avoid prophesying beforehand, because it is a much better policy to prophesy after the event has already taken place. We occasionally stumble over the truth, but most of us pick ourselves up and hurry off as if nothing had happened. Do not let spacious plans for a new world divert your energies from saving what is left of the old. If it weren't for painting, I wouldn't live. I couldn't bear the extra strain of things. The power of an air force is terrific when there is nothing to oppose it. If you go on with this nuclear arms race, all you are going to do is make the rubble bounce. These are not dark days. These are great days, the greatest days our country has ever lived. For good or for ill, air mastery is today the supreme expression of military power, and fleets and armies, however vital and important, must accept a subordinate rank. The British nation is unique in this respect. They are the only people who like to be told how bad things are, who like to be told the worst. Baldwin thought Europe was a bore, and Chamberlain thought it was only a greater Birmingham. I am never going to have anything more to do with politics or politicians. When this war is over, I shall confine myself entirely to writing and painting. When you are winning a war, almost everything that happens can be claimed to be right and wise. Broadly speaking, the short words are the best, and the old words best of all. The reserve of modern assertions is sometimes pushed to extremes, in which the fear of being contradicted leads the writer to strip himself of almost all sense and meaning. I have been brought up and trained to have the utmost contempt for people who get drunk. It is a fine game to play the game of politics, and it is well worth waiting for a good hand before really plunging. In those days he was wiser than he is now. He used to frequently take my advice. If the Almighty were to rebuild the world and ask me for advice, I would have English channels round every country, and the atmosphere would be such that anything which attempted to fly would be set on fire. Really, I feel less keen about the army every day. I think the church would suit me better.